Hello students, we are going to deal with active voice and passive voice. The voice of a verb indicates whether its subject is the doer or the receiver of the action. For example, Sumit repaired the car, and its passive voice is the car was repaired by Sumit. Both the sentences express the same meaning, but in sentence 1, the subject Sumit is the doer of the action, so the verb repaired is said to be in the active voice. At the same time, in the second sentence, the subject, the car, is the receiver of the action, so the verb was repaired is said to be in the passive voice. That means, when the subject is the receiver of the action, the verb is in the passive voice. When the subject is the doer of the action, the verb is in the active voice. We have already studied the active voice and its rules in the previous classes. So here we are going to deal with only passive voice. So let us begin the class. So first of all, I will be explaining how to change the active voice into passive voice. Let us follow 5 steps to change the active voice into passive voice. First of all, find the SVO. Secondly, convert the object into subject. Thirdly, use the suitable helping verb. And the next is to convert the main verb into third form of the verb. And finally, use the preposition by. Now let me explain it elaborately. The first step, find the SVO. S for subject, V for verb, and O for object. When we get a sentence, first of all, we have to find out its subject, verb, and object. We have already studied what is a subject, what is a verb, and what is an object. Subject is the doer of the action in an active voice. Verb is the action, and object is the receiver of the action. So let us take the example, Sumit repaired the car. In this sentence, repaired is the action word and that is the verb of the sentence. And it is in simple past tense. Let us ask the question, who is repairing the car, in order to get the subject. And here we get the answer, Sumit. So, Sumit is the subject of this sentence. Now let us find out the object of this sentence. We know that there are more than one objects in one sentence. There can be direct or indirect object. So let us ask the question what to the subject to find out the object. What did Sumit repair? The answer is the car. So the object of this sentence is the car. So with that, we have completed the first step. We found the subject, verb, and object. Let us go to the second step. The second step is to convert the object into subject. If it is a noun, then we can easily place the same noun as a subject in the passive voice. But if it is a pronoun, then we must change the objective form into subjective form while we change the active voice into passive voice. We know that while we change the active voice into passive voice, we must use the object of the active voice as the subject of the passive voice. But if the object in the active voice is a pronoun, we must change it into the subjective form of it. For example, the objective form of I is me and she is her. Let us take an example. I gave him a book. In this sentence, him is the object and it's a pronoun. So we have to use the subjective form of him to begin the passive voice. And that is he. We had studied all these types of pronouns in the previous classes like object pronoun, subject pronoun, possessive pronoun, emphatic pronoun, etc. So dear students, please kindly revise this part. The next step to change the active voice into passive voice is to use the suitable helping verb. For this, we have to consider 2 things. First one is subject-verb agreement and second one is tense. An elaborate class for subject-verb agreement will be coming in the next chapter. But we have studied the basic rules of subject-verb agreement in the previous classes. The basic rule is that when the subject is a singular, we must use a singular verb. When the subject is plural, we must use a plural verb. So we must follow this basic rule also here while we change the active voice into passive voice. And the second part is tense. We must look at the tense. Most of the students make a mistake here. So dear students, listen very carefully. When we change a sentence into indirect speech or reported speech, we must change its tense as per its rules. But when we change the active voice into passive voice, we won't change its tense. If the active voice is in simple present, the passive voice will also be in simple present. Once again, when we change the direct speech into indirect speech, we must change the tense as per its rules. But while we change the active voice into passive voice or the passive voice into active voice, we will never change its tense. But we have to follow its rules to change the active voice into passive voice, which we have studied in the previous class in a table. So please kindly follow the table to change the active voice into passive voice. Now the next step is to convert the main verb into third form of the verb. We will be using only third form of the verb in the passive voice, that is past participle. And the final step is to use the preposition by, and we must use it before the object of the passive voice. These are the 5 easy steps to change the active voice into passive voice. Again, I will repeat it. The first step is to find the subject, verb and object. Secondly, convert object into subject. Next one, use the suitable helping verb. And next one, convert the main verb into third form of the verb. And finally, use the preposition by. This is the very brief explanation to change the active voice into passive voice. Dear students, kindly follow the textbook, chapter 1, page number 8. There is a box given over there which will help you to change the active voice into passive voice. The use and rules of passive voice are also explained in the textbook, which will be explained by me in the next class. As a homework, I would like to request you to learn the box given in page number 8, formation of the passive voice, and also try to do the assignment given in page number 10. Thank you. Stay home, stay safe, have a nice day.